In this lesson, we are going to go over how to graph the derivative when we have the function. So you can see our AKS is compare characteristics of f prime, and f double prime. That would be the first derivative and the second derivative graphically. We're just going to do the first derivative today. So graphing derivatives of functions. So we're going to identify the critical point on f of x because they represent the x-intercepts and the zeros of the derivative. That's what f prime of x is, okay? And where f of x has a positive slope, the values of fx are above the x-axis, and we're going to talk about this a lot. And where f of x has a negative slope, the values of f of x, again, the derivative, are below the x. Now we're going to look at some graphs, okay? So with our example 1a, this is a quadratic function, okay? And notice that this is our critical point right here. This is our critical point. That's our minimum, right? This was our minimum. It's a critical point. And then that is going to translate to down here being our x-intercept. That's our x-axis right there, or our zero of our function. Remember, zeros of functions are on the x-axis, okay? Then we're going to talk about what's happening over here. Well, the slope over here is negative. It's going down, right? So if we touch any point of here and we draw a line, it's going to be negative. So that is why this over here is below the x-axis. The slope over here, again, look at it, is, let me do my green, is positive, right? So no matter where I touch this, if I draw a line on that, that's going to be a positive slope, right? So again, that's why this is above the x-axis here. This is what we were referring to in the last slide, okay? So now, again, if we look over here at our cubic function, so this time notice we have a max right here. We have a max right there. And we have a min right there, right? Okay? And, by the way, this would be a point of inflection, right? Okay, so we're going to talk about that in a second, too. All right, so notice, again, we have those points down here. These are going to be our zeros of our function. I don't know why my colors keep changing. These are going to be our zeros of our function, right? Or our x-intercepts, because they are our max and our min. They're the critical points, okay? So then, again, looking here, our slope over here is positive, so this is going to be above the x-axis. Notice it's above the x-axis because it's positive. All right, then look here. This is going down, right? Okay, so this is going to be negative. That's why. And that means all of this from between these 2 points is going to be below. Now notice we have a point of inflection right there. Why is that? Because we have a point of inflection right there. So that's when it goes from being concave down to concave up. Notice that. See it? Okay. Then we notice again over here we have again a positive slope, right? So that's why this is again above the x-axis, okay? So hopefully you're starting to see some patterns here. All right, so let's look at this next one, which is a quartic function. So it would be an x to the fourth function, okay? So here again, notice we've got one minimum. This is a min here. This would be a max here, right? This would be another minimum here. Okay, and we've got 2 points of inflection this time. So we got a point of inflection here because concave up and then concave down there. And here we have concave down, and concave up, okay? So again, we're going to go right down here. We're going to put our mins and maxes down here. So that's a minimum, that's a maximum, that's a minimum. These are going to be the zeros of our function. And now we're going to just use our graph again. We're going down here, so that's going to be below, and look at between these 2 points. Notice right here we got red and we got red and we got red, right? Okay, so that's going up the whole time, so that means it's going to be above, so that's why this right here is above. And then look here again at this point of inflection, right? That's when it changed from concave up to concave down, right? Okay, so now again, we're looking at this now. This is all below, right? So again, notice that's why this is all below. And again, see this point of inflection right here. We had the point of inflection there, so the point of inflection drops down here. Okay, then our last part again is positive, right? It's above. So this is going to be above the x-axis. Example 2 says draw the graph of the derivative on the empty graph. So we're going to draw it over here. So let's first find our mins and maxes, right? So those are our critical points. So that's our minimum. and this is our maximum. So that's what we're going to take. Now we're going to draw these over here. So that was at 1, and the other one was at 3. Okay, now let's talk about what's happening. So notice that this is going down, right? So that's a negative slope, so that means it's going to be below. Okay, so when we talk about this one over here, this is going to be a point that's below, right? Okay. Then we've got this part right here, which is above, right? So now look here again, we got a point of inflection, maybe about there. What is that, at 2? So we're going to have a point of inflection at 2. So I'm just going to make my vertex right there. See that? Okay. So that's where that about where that we think that point of inflection is. Again, this is not an exact science here, guys. So here again, then this part down here is again falling, right? So that's going to be a negative slope again. So it goes over here. Again, we're not looking for perfection here, but we are looking at these critical points. We know where they are, right? So we know that this is at 1 and this is at 3. And we know this is about at 2. This point up here with a point of inflection, okay? All right, here's another one. All right, so again, let's look at our maxes and mins. We got a maximum here, we got a minimum there, we got a maximum there. So again, those are going to be the zeros of the function. So we got it at 2, and then we got one at 4, and then we got another one at 6, it looks like. Okay, so let's talk again about what we see. Okay, this is going up, so that's going to be positive, so that's going to be above, right? So this is going to be above somewhere over here. Okay, and then again, how accurate it is doesn't matter, honestly. Okay, and then what do we notice happens next? So then we're going down, and notice again there's going to be a point of inflection about there, right? So that's going to be about at 3, so we're going down at 3. So I don't know how far I'm going, but I know that these are going to be like that, right? Because that's all below. All right, then we got this guy right here, which is again going to be above. So this is going to be above right there. And again, we probably have a point of inflection somewhere in there. Looks to me like it's about at 5 right there. So, and then again, we are going to go, this is going down again, so that's negative. See it? All right, so again, remember, we're not looking for perfection here. We are looking for our points, though. We know this, we know this, we know this. We know about where our points of inflection are, so that's what we're looking for, okay? All right, the next one we do 2. Again, looks to me like this is where my maximum is. This is where my minimum is. So that looks like it's a little bit left of -1. So I'm going to put it right there. And then this one's at 2, going to put it right there. So again, let's talk about this. So we're going positive, that's going to be above, right? So that's going to be above. And then we've got this going down, right? So once again, these are between our 2 points. So that means this is going to be down here, yeah? And again, maybe our point of inflection is about there, where they're switching. All right, and then again, we're going, that's going to be positive again, right? So again, not looking for perfection here, remember. So these are our 2 critical points, right? They are going to be the zeros of our function. All right, here's our last one. We do 3. Okay, again, this one has just one maximum, right? Okay, so we're going to put that at 1. So that's our 1 critical point, okay? And from here, the graph is going, this is a positive slope, right? So that means we're coming from the left, it's going to be positive, okay? And then over here, it's, whoops, it's going to be negative, right? So we're going down, right? So this part over here is going to be down there. Whoops, can't draw straight today. Oops, sorry. All right, so there's the ends of our straight line, okay? And that's what that one's going to look like.